G'day guys, today I'm going to show you how to make scones. Nothing better than some scones out camping. So if you don't like scones, there's probably no point watching this video. And if you don't know how to cook, maybe send this video to someone who does know how to cook. Maybe they'll make it for you. But anyway, let's get stuck into it. So the first thing you need to make sure of is some nice red hot coals. So as with any camp oven cooking, you really need some good heat. So what I've been doing over the past hour is just chucking a whole heap of small timber on the fire, just to really get the coals cranking and happening. So that's the first thing. As far as what you actually need to make the scones, there's not actually a whole lot to them. So you'll need self-raising flour. I don't have any self-raising flour, but I do have plain flour and baking powder, so I can virtually make my own self-raising flour. Some sugar, some milk, butter, and whatever you want to go on top. So in my case, some jam and some whipping cream. Then you just need a mixing bowl, a cup measure, otherwise you can just estimate, and obviously your camp oven. So not a whole lot to it. So first up, we need 2 cups of self-raising flour. The reason I don't carry self-raising flour is because then I'd have to carry 2 different types of flour, so it's actually just easier just to have lots of plain flour and then just add the baking powder as I need it. Sugar, you're going to want about 2 teaspoons. That's probably a bit much, anyway. So at this point, you'd probably want to make sure that your hands are clean. What you want to do is just mix that in all together. The sugar, the flour, and in my case the baking powder. If you're using self-raising flour, you don't have to worry about that. But anyway, so give that a good mix around. Now butter, you're going to want about a tablespoon. So I'd say, let's go with that much. I find if you put a bit too much butter, the scones just end up being quite oily. And then what you want to do is just really just rub that around so that the whole thing is combined. And yeah, you kind of want to have like a breadcrumb kind of texture to it. So as you can see, that's all nice and combined now. There's no big chunks of butter, so that's good to go. Next thing on the list is 1 cup of milk. Now generally the best thing to do is to put it in slowly, so not all at once. Because sometimes you might not even need all of it, and then you're going to have to add more flour later. So just add probably half of it, mix it all together, see how it's going, and then maybe add the rest if you need it. This is when your hands are really going to get nice and dirty, I'll tell you that much. And in this case, I don't think I'm going to need any more milk really, because that's almost the consistency we're after. So that's all nice and combined now. I actually only used half the milk. I don't think it needs the rest of the milk. It looks quite damp. So I think we're ready to go. What we want to do now is just divide it evenly into however many scones you really want, I guess, and however big you want them. So we'll make it so we get about maybe 6. So I've divided it into 7 portions and just rolled it into balls. Try and keep them all even so they cook evenly. Just makes life easier later on. Let's get the camp oven. Now with your camp oven, the best thing to do is to use a trivet. It just makes another airspace underneath the scones and means that the heat's kind of more even and they just cook better. So I'm going to chuck my trivet in. Also, I'm going to use baking paper just so that there's less cleanup. And a neat trick I learned of someone was to just scrunch up the baking paper and then take it apart, because that way it forms into the shape better of the base of the camp oven. Alright, let's get our scones. So what you want to do is put the scones next to each other. Apparently it helps them all raise evenly or something like that. Don't ask me, I'm no chef. Alrighty, so I've got the 7 scones in there. Just putting a little bit of milk on the top just makes the top go nice and crunchy. Awesome. Now they're good to go. Now the hardest part with camp oven cooking is knowing where to put the heat. So with scones you really want heat all around them. So you want them on the bottom, as much up the sides as you can, and also on the lid on the top. So I'm just going to put probably a good layer of coals on the bottom, build it up around the sides a little bit, and just some more red hot coals on the lid. So the scones would probably take about 10 to 15 minutes to cook, but we'll check them after 10 because it wouldn't be the first time I've burnt something. So we'll leave them for 10 minutes and see how they look. Alright, so it's been 10 minutes. Just gonna have a look to see what they look like. So with scones, you know they're ready when you tap them and they sound hollow. Oh, they're coming along, but definitely not there yet. Give it another 5 minutes. I reckon a little bit longer again. Might chuck a few more hot coals on there just to help it along. Let's have a look. Alrighty, let's get into them. Oh, I love that smell. Beautiful. Look at that. Fortunately for me, I had pancakes for breakfast, so I've got some leftover cream. Let's crank the jam out. Fresh scones with jam and cream in the bush. What a way to go. That is nice. If you haven't done much camp oven cooking before, definitely a very easy recipe to try for your first dessert in the bush. And they taste awesome, and everybody else will love them. See you guys in the next one. Trying to work out how bad it would be for me to eat all these by myself. At least nobody will know.